going on. But first and foremost, congratulations, Coach. Great season so far. I think the most important question that everyone wants to know is a little bit about Coach Lewis, the head coach of the Goshen Gladiators. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been coaching now for about 12 years. I came into this with very little experience. I did 5Ks quite often, and I ran a little bit in high school and college, but really, nothing serious competitive. But over the last like 7 to 8 years, I've been the boys head coach, and we've created a new culture, I think, over those 7 years or so. And we've continued to progress, although COVID definitely hit us a little bit, but as we
Like
see,
everyone, yeah.
everybody. But I think we're starting to rebound and working on getting our numbers back up.
Absolutely. That's a theme that we see. Just numbers, participation numbers are a little down across the board everywhere.
Right.
But I can say for myself, we have similar backgrounds, just not maybe being totally in the sport, but then becoming infatuated with cross country and track and field. And I could just say, I could see the progression. You guys have done a tremendous job at Goshen High School for sure. So you guys should be definitely really proud of what you got going on there as far as culture goes. So we were really excited to see your boys at the county meet top 3 finish. Did that come as a surprise to you guys too, or did you guys kind of see that one coming?
So our first big meet of the season was the Suffern Invitational, and our guys ran just lights out. We had 5 guys run like amazing PRs, and I was expecting them to be good, but I wasn't sure how good. But really what it came down to is those 5 guys really just, they eat, sleep, breathe cross country. They did everything they needed to over the summer, and it all came together, back in the middle of September at Suffern. And so at that moment, I was like, wow, these guys did outstanding, considering the competition. And then the rankings came out for the first week, and we were ranked 3rd in the state in Class B, but it was early. And then we had a couple of weeks off. We ended up going down to, I think, 5 or 6, just because other teams, competed for their first time and or improved a lot. So I was surprised to see, because again, 3 of those 5 boys are also sophomores.
Yeah,
they did have really solid freshman years, all 3 of them, but they really came a long way since the beginning of their freshman year to really the beginning of their sophomore year.
It's going to bring me, I'm going to skip around. I have a bunch of questions here, but we saw, I think I wrote about it. We saw your guys put in a lot of work in the summer.
Right.
What is, maybe to people that don't know the sport, or even kids getting into the sport, what does that summer training mean for you as a coach, as a program, and just building culture in general for you guys?
Well, it's really about building the foundation, and I see it as building the foundation, really not just for cross country, but for winter track, for spring track, for the whole year. Because most of these guys, they're just full-time runners. So it's just a lot of easy running in the beginning and building up and doing a couple of moderate workouts a week and gradually building over the course of the summer. And I can't really take too much credit for a lot of our training plan, because we have this amazing coach, Coach First,
yeah,
Warwick for over 40 years, and he's been with us now for probably about 7 years or so. So a lot of our the roots of our training come from him, and we've refined things to reflect our athletes. But yeah, I mean, the summer is one of the most important things, and you can see, usually after the first meet, who's been doing what they were supposed to over the summer and who hasn't. And like I said, those 5 guys, and even really more than those 5 guys, but especially the 5 core scoring members of the team, just they did a lot over the summer, and it paid off.
Yeah, it really builds the camaraderie through the summer,
right. Well,
going into like
we try not to be too involved in the summer, because we want them to build that camaraderie. We want them to have the experience of, leading the team and getting everybody together and trying to get the, younger guys, the freshmen and some of the newer people to come out. So we do meet with them a couple times a week, and we go up to Minnewaska. They have a great running
Yeah.
series up in the New Paltz area. And then, as the summer gets a little bit later, we meet a little more often, but
Yeah, those guys did a great job. We saw them out
Mhm.
there. So definitely paying dividends now for sure.
Right.
All that
Well, the
work.
Sunday thing was also a great addition. I'm
Thank
glad
you. Yeah, we had a bunch of them out.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna do that next year too. So bring
Cool.
them around.
Right.
Talk me through kind of. I have found in the past that I actually feel we've done a better job. We have that county meet and the section meet kind of 10 days apart now, which is kind of nice. 10 days apart for adults, maybe running 5K races very fast is not a long time, but for the cross country athlete, that's actually a long time, especially towards the end of the season where you have some rest and can potentially put some workouts in there and looking at competition ahead. What does that 10 days between counties and sections look for you kind of this year? Maybe looking at Mount Academy coming in that race and maybe some workouts or something in that week.
It was nice. And again, like I said, we have a really nice, probably 6 to 7 year book of workouts, and we don't do everything the same thing.
Of course, yeah.
But it was nice because I could go back and look at, what we can add another workout in here. What's a really good workout that we don't always get to do? I mean, that was really nice. And going back to counties, by the way, it was a surprise that we finished third. And honestly, counties, we didn't have Ryan Schramm.
Yes, I was going to get to that later.
So, I mean, again, I wasn't sure, I figured we'd be at least a couple spots down, but, third place was really phenomenal. And I have to give credit to, our number 6 guy, Kia Gazelle Ayak, who ran, a really great race. And then sections, again,
you had a pretty dramatic section meet.
If you want to hold off on that, we can.
You had a pretty wild meet.
I mean, we didn't have those core 5 guys for both of the county and the sectional meet. But yeah, having the extra days was nice because it actually gave Ryan a little more time to recover. And deal with his treatment. And then he was able to run well at sections as a result.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then sections come along, and sections is kind of weird in section 9 because we have our county race, which also kind of coincides with the mid-haul. And then a lot of even the smaller schools, like the bigger schools, you kind of see your competition throughout the year, but the smaller schools, you have some up north and then some here. What's it like kind of anticipating? You get in the race, Mount Academy is on the line, traditional powerhouse. Cornwall's always a strong program. And then knowing that you have someone like Ryan come back and run a race for you, and then talk us through the race that's going on there. Because you also had some fireworks at the end too. Those last, even your 6th guy coming in, who probably wasn't expecting to be in that position, was very important for you at the end.
Yes. Yeah. So, leading up to sections, we were like, wow, everything's going to come together here. Now, based on the fact that we really haven't had all 5 guys run well, or, we've had one guy out here, another guy out there.
Run together. Yes. Right.
But, again, since it all goes back to that Suffern Invitational, we were like, wow, we have all 5 guys. Everybody looks healthy. We're ready to go. We weren't really ranked that much higher. The mile split rankings had us, I think, 2 points ahead of Mount Academy. And then they had like 4 teams tied for either second or third. And Cornwall actually was a distant 5th. And one of the things I said to the guys is, guys, on paper, it does look like, we have a very good chance, but you can never count out the Dragons. You can never count out Mount Academy. And we don't really know that much about Lords. They're new to us in section 9. So yeah, we have to really put together a solid race for sections. We can't take anything for granted. So, they went into it, they were very nervous, but they handled it well. And, they raced their hearts out that day. You know, and if you remember, we had Caleb going after Donovan Baird from Mount Academy. He ended up, I think, finishing about 3 seconds after him.
Yep.
You know, almost chasing him down at the end. We had Klugman, another one of our sophomores, who ended up in 4th place, ran an outstanding race. I think he PR'd by a second.
Yep.
Caleb also, I think, PR'd by a couple seconds. Kieran Foster was dealing with a little issue, so he was a little bit further back. But Ryan Schramm came back and he was able to put together a really solid race, you know, for the sectional meet. And then Kieran wasn't that much further back. And you know, I always have my usual spots at Bear Mountain. You know, I go up on the hill and then I go down.
Everyone's got their spots.
The 2 mile, and then I go back over to the you know, near the skating rink to watch them their final, you know, 600 meters or so. And I said, wow, you know, like Carmona, you know, Joe Carmona is usually our 5th guy. And he was like just maybe a few seconds after Kieran Foster. I think Coach First and I, you know, based on our stats that we keep, we were like, wow, you know, he's on track for maybe a 30-second PR here. He's running, you know, outstanding. And so, you know, I see all 5 or 6 guys go by, you know, the ice skating rink, and then I run to the finish line, and, you know, Caleb had just crossed, and I think Klugman had, you know, was just about to cross. And then I see Schramm, and then I see Kieran Foster, and I'm like, all right, wow. And one of the other coaches from another team was standing next to me. He's like, wow, coach, congratulations. You know, you look, you know,
this good.
And I said, well, you know, don't hold your breath. You never know what's going to happen in cross country, you know, but, you know, thanks. We're looking good. And I see Carmona coming down, and then all of a sudden I see him fall. And I was like, what's happening? You know, what's wrong? And I see him get up, and then he fell again. And, you know, it was evident that he, you know, was having some kind of an issue, but we couldn't really figure it out. And, you know, I wanted to help him, and, you know, obviously if you do that, then he's disqualified.
Yeah.
You know, so he kept on getting up. He was crawling at one point. I mean, nobody ran with more heart and more dedication than Joe Carmona.
There's an awesome picture, I think, that
Terry Rafferty, I think, posted, right? I don't know where it came from, but I saw it on Instagram, and it was really nice of, I think it's Terry Rafferty from Highland Falls posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a nice caption. You know, I mean, there's nobody more dedicated than Joseph Carmona.
Yeah, he was another guy out there in the summer we saw. Is he okay? He's doing all right?
Yeah, so he was cleared earlier this week. You know, he had to go through a lot of tests and everything, and, you know, he was at the hospital for a little while, you know, last Wednesday, but, you know, released and you know, got cleared to run. So he's ready, and he looks great. He looks ready to go. They think it was probably a combination of, you know, dehydration and maybe like low blood sugar, but yeah, it was kind of a weird, you know, situation.
So I did not get to see, I didn't get a chance to get to the race, but from the pictures I saw, it was warm, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was very, I mean, for November, it was very unseasonably warm. You know,
like everyone was drenched. Like,
yeah.
Like,
and I mean, you know,
it looked like it rained.
we were the last boys race of the day, and then of course all the girls had to run. I mean, by the afternoon, I mean, it was like, you know, it must have been close to 70 degrees.
Now your 6th guy comes in, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's okay.
You can give the name.
Yeah, so Kia Gazelle comes through as we were. The trainers, by the way, at sections were outstanding. Between the Monroe trainer and the Kingston trainer, I'm not sure of their names.
Yeah,
they did a great job.
Yep, props to our Section 9 trainers. They're the best.
Yes, the Kingston trainer helped me, you know, carry Joe over to the table over there by the finish line. And as we were bringing Joe over, the 6th guy, Kia Gazelle Ayuk, crossed the finish line. And, you know, for me, you know, it's a very different experience. We won, the last time we won was 2016. We beat Cornwall by 1 point. It was like, you know, outstanding. Kevin Long, who
our friend Kevin Long,
he was our 5th guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran an outstanding race, and you know,
I hear about it every day. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, and this was, I saw all those runners, going in between, Joe and where, Kia ended up finishing. And I was like, oh boy, like, it doesn't look good for us,
Mhm.
And
And
then,
for people that don't understand cross country scoring, when I post this, it really is they're not just 1 point differences, they're swings. So
right.
as the lowest score goes in, so as people are coming in and you're falling behind your sixth guy, we're starting to see large swings in point
Right.
difference.
Exactly.
So that's how kind of nerve-wracking even one or two places can be. And when the final score shook out, it was very evident that your sixth guy was very important to the race.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we had calculated that if Joe had finished, without having fallen, we would have won by 23 or 24 points.
Mhm.
We winning by only 5 points, which is still pretty amazing in my opinion. And again, I give a lot of credit to our sixth guy who
Yeah.
finished. Kia ran a great race. But yeah, it was I one of the parents came over and they're like, Coach, I think you won. And I was like, don't mess with me. I'm over here trying to make sure Joe's okay,
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh yeah. And I saw the guy standing there behind the bench. And I'm like, well, maybe we did win.
Maybe
But
we
it was,
did win.
it was just something I couldn't
Oh,
really
man.
see at that time because we were focused on making sure Joe was okay.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
important.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. And it goes, I mean, once again, just goes to show with your program, sometimes you have 3 or 4 guys that run well, but when you can have your sixth or seventh person come in and clutch and step up when either someone is hurting on the day or you can pull together, like having that depth of talent is really important in a cross country race. And everyone thinks running is an individual sport, but they don't know until you get on a cross country team, especially in those championship races, how important the team factor is in
Right.
that
Yes.
race.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit. You had a girl, Gianna. I'm not
Yes.
sure if you could
Gianna
give us a
Catalano.
scoop on Gianna. I saw her; she was picking up spikes over here the other day, and I think she was as surprised as we. She was like, "I'm going to save me."
Yeah, Gianna ran an outstanding race. She's worked really hard this season. Her teammate Dylan Dugan, we she's been kind of the top runner all season, and it was just not her day, unfortunately. But Gianna, ran really just a great race and ended up finishing. I believe she was the second individual.
Yes,
Yeah,
something like that. That's awesome. So got
yeah.
a nice collection of gladiators going up to represent Section 9 in
Mhm.
Verona. So just lastly on everything, I love talking about kind of, maybe like I was again speaking to maybe the older crowd that was going to listen in, the coach athlete relationship, being a coach now for your time at Goshen and beyond. Can you explain like the coach athlete relationship, how important it is and what factor and what role you play in their young adult lives going forward? I always find that one of the more kind of the best, more fulfilling role
Yeah.
between the whole relationship between just going out and running and doing everything, how much you can influence, your student athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it depends on the group that, you're working with. When I first took over the boys program, we had these couple of up and coming kids, Liam Higgins and Louis Greco, who ended up being All-American steeplechasers and just great athletes. And those were a couple of the guys that I ended up becoming the closest with. And, I still see them, from time to time when they're in the area. Liam, I just actually saw last weekend. He was up visiting family. And obviously, Kevin, I see quite often because he's around. But it is really important to develop, a good positive relationship, with the athletes. And, like I said, it depends on the group. It depends on personalities.
Yeah.
But
Every
definitely.
group's different for sure. Everyone has their own mix, and you almost had to change your demeanor a little bit. Stay true to who you are, but
Well, absolutely.
definitely
Yeah.
play to the group. Especially with younger,
Mhm.
you guys got a little bit younger guys, sophomores. That's a whole different ballpark than 17-year-olds compared to 15-year-olds.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so cool. What are one or two, we were talking about like the workouts in the like the 10 days leading up, but over the course of the season, what's like, we're going to kind of steal state secrets here. What are like one or two key gladiator workouts that Coach Lewis looks for, maybe in like breathes a sigh of relief when the athlete hits them? Like what's the one that you get excited for every day or during the season that kind of gets you fired up?
Tough. We have a few different, workouts in our repertoire. And we had a really good rotation of workouts this season, that worked well with our meet schedule. So we do like, 5x1,000. We do 800 meter repeats, 400s. And, I feel like there's not really one workout in particular that we really, look forward to the most. But what I do like to do is really compare the stats, from back in early August, or not really early August, but mid-August to like, towards the end of the season. I mean, and we basically every split the kid does, we record, we
write down, and yeah.
It's funny, Coach First has books, like physical books, like going back 30-40 years.
Yeah.
We have spreadsheets that go back, about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And it's cool to, look at their progression, obviously from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And then, you can also look at what kids did 5-6 years ago, or in Coach First's case, like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of the same workouts that he was doing then, we still do, with obviously maybe some variations. But like I said, I think the rotation and the rhythm of getting into those workouts is the most important thing.
It's amazing to like, even like the old school workouts, like 5x1K, 6x800,
Sure.
all those, like they still work. They worked 20 years ago, they work now. And I think like we do the same thing. And I see a lot of coaches do the same thing, just being able to track and being able to see, even showing a sophomore, like what you did as a freshman coming in last year is a huge boost of confidence going into a big championship meet. It is fascinating to see what a 5x1K looks like in August compared to like a 5x1K in October, when not only they're fit, but it's 30 degrees cooler and they're just flying around. It's a great look. But yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff there. Any preview of the course this weekend? Any tips or tricks for people listening? I know it's gonna be a rainy one, right?
Well, it does. It does look like it'll be a little wet. This course does have a reputation for being somewhat muddy, although I've heard that they've made a lot of improvements to it. I vaguely remember it in 2012. I think we had a couple of individuals that went up for that meet. And I do remember the mud, because it was definitely muddy. I remember cornfields. And I mean, it's interesting that there are a couple of hills, but I don't think that they're that intense.
Yeah, it's not like
there's one
Bear Mountain where
again, it depends. I feel like, Section 9, we have a couple of really good courses with hills, obviously Bear Mountain being, the primary course, but you look at some of the other courses like Monroe, for example, and what else do we have? Bowdoin Park, for that's another great course with quite a bit of hills.
Washingtonville has a notorious hill.
Oh yeah, Washingtonville.
Warwick's course is it rolls.
Yeah. But this, I don't. It's definitely not the quickest course. There seem to be a lot of turns and sharp turns and twists. But I don't. At least in my opinion, I don't think it's really the hilliest. And at least based on our guys and how well they ran at Bear Mountain this year, they're not really intimidated by the hills.
Yeah, that's one thing we saw too. And we live in Goshen, where every right turn is a hill. So
right, yes, yeah, we have a couple of really good workouts with hills in Goshen.
What's the what are your best hill runs in Goshen? I got a few of them on my mind, but I did one today too.
Yeah, so there's like probably 4. So our favorite place overall would be Harness Estates.
Okay, so
We have the one hill, we call it Lamppost. I mean, all of these streets now have names,
yeah,
but I don't even know them. One of them I think is called Cahill.
yeah,
Maybe Lamppost is Cahill. But
that's right at the bottom.
yeah, it's the longest, straight uphill,
Yeah,
from the bottom, all the way up to the four-way stop. And
yeah.
then there's another hill. I can't even explain why, but it's called Jurassic. It goes back to Andy Krish, or 20, 30 years ago. Because before that was a development, it was part of the Goshen cross country course, believe it or not. They had trails back there and everything. But yeah, they would use that. We go all the way up to like the water tower that's behind the high school. And that's a tough one. You're going up and it gets pretty steep, and then you're going around a curve. My favorite is Marie Terrace.
Oh yeah, right by
Behind
the
the
horse track.
racetrack, behind the historic track. Yeah, and
I
we
think
did
so.
that. We did that
Is
a
that the
couple
one
weeks.
that's like the Death Hill, the one that's like midway through the horse track and it goes straight up? It's almost part of the 10K.
I might be saying the wrong name. Marie Terrace. It might not actually be. That might be the other one that curves. But yeah, we go straight up, and then we actually sometimes we'll have them go left, which even takes you up further.
Yeah.
But the views from the top of that hill are amazing, and
yes, in that little development that's up there.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's one more that I like is the middle school.
Erie.
Well, so not Erie. Erie's a good hill. But like there's a trail that goes up like alongside the middle school, and it goes up to another water tower. And it's pretty steep, pretty narrow. And we try to do that at least once a season as well. Yeah,
man, these I ran up Purgatory today, which is over like way over. So it's probably not where you take your kids to go, but or like that's mean. And
yeah,
then of course,
I did
like
that as part of the Hambletonian Marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then even like being over on the Burke side of things, you got Fletcher Street and Ryerson and those ones going where that's the lowest part of Goshen. So everywhere is going up. So I think there's no shortage of hills to run in Goshen for sure. So all the people in the Orange Runners Club know that as well, running on Sundays. Sweet, awesome. A few more things for you, and I'm gonna let you go. Is there anything for this state meet outside of the Goshen circle that you're really excited for to see, whether that's an athlete or someone like that? We obviously have some incredible athletes and teams going up to the state meet from Section 9, but any other anything?
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Furman does from Tri-Valley. I mean, he's had an outstanding season.
Yeah.
And then Monroe, I mean, I'd love to see them win a state championship. They're close, that's
gonna be a great race. That's gonna be a great team race.
Collins, they've just been ridiculously good this season.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. What's the pre-race meal looking like? Where's Goshen going for team dinner?
We found a place that's like 4 minutes from our hotel. It's like Michael T's Ristorante.
Love it.
Nice Italian place. Good ratings, good reviews.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's our plan.
A lot of pasta, or do we do like pizza? What we got on?
Definitely pasta.
Pasta's it. Classic.
The kids tend to do like penne alla vodka or something like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's always the biggest question is what's everyone eating before the big race. What will there be any rest for the cross country athletes before indoor season? Wrong answers only.
Yes, we give them at least a week to 10 days usually.
So generous, coach.
Sometimes 2 weeks if they feel that they really need it. Like there's at least one or two kids that probably will need at least closer to 2 weeks. But yeah, we want them to have that rest for sure.
Yeah, I like to explain to all the viewers, like these guys are training at such a high intensity all the time. So that rest is so important for these high school athletes, not only for.
Yeah, I was going to say most of them since the beginning of July, it's interesting. There are some programs that give a rest day every week. We don't do that. It's usually once every 3 weeks or so. Yeah. Be a little bit more sometimes, but so that week or so, or 10 days off, it's really important.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm
Yeah.
totally with that.
And some of them don't want to, but they need to.
Yeah, I mean, young growing kids, man, life's stressful nowadays, so gotta give them their time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Looking way ahead, I remember
Sure.
talking to you last year at a few spring meets, and
Mm-hmm.
there's this kid that was kind of doing a little bit of everything, but doing it really, really, really well. And then I think
Yes.
at state quals, you unleashed him. Will we see Jaden back in the spring for his pentathlon dominance?
So I don't know if he's going to do the pent again.
Okay,
I think he should personally, because he finished fourth in states last year. I mean,
unbelievable. Yeah.
a sophomore finishing fourth at states in an event that, I mean, you have to be an outstanding athlete in order to do that well. And he could do everything,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
again, he had very minimal training in a couple of those events, but, he did great. So I would like him to, but I don't know if he's going to want to. I think
Got to run that
his
1500,
focus,
right?
well, his focus, I think, is probably going to end up being the hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
He loves hurdling. I think the 400 hurdles. Last year there was a kid from Washingtonville who was, just lights out, ridiculously good. Elijah Mallard,
Elijah. Yeah.
who's
Great
now
talent.
graduated, and I think Jaden would like to kind of fill
Take a
his shoes.
crack.
Yeah, trying to
Man,
go
I'd
for
rather
that.
do the pent than do a 400 hurdles. That hurts.
But yeah, I mean, at the same time, I want to. The goal is to keep his options open,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'd like him to do in the winter pretty much every event, from the 55-meter hurdles all the way up to the 600, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, watching him in the spring last year was definitely, I was like, who is this kid from Goshen? He's kind of doing everything. Young guy. He's got to go in the pent, man. So that was a cool watch. I'm glad to hear that he'll be back and doing actually more events. We needed decathlon for Jaden. Last
yeah.
question, because we're running out of time here. I want to let you go. Running community as a whole, something that we try to do, like we said, we did in the summer. What's something that, whether the store, but even like the larger running community can do to kind of grow the sport across country and promote it to the younger athletes, whether that's middle school or young high school athletes, in your minds? Cross country is the best sport ever. So what can we do to help promote that and get more kids involved and participation up?
I think, the local running community does a lot in terms of, organizing races and 5Ks and training runs. What I would like to see is, some kind of a summer running series similar to what they do up in New Paltz. I mean, it might be a little tougher to do around here, because, they have those awesome state parks right, in their backyard. And that makes it a little bit more convenient for that area. But it would be really cool to have something like that around here that kind of caters to the, running community. And, we don't have our kids race every one of those 5 races. They kind of tempo them and get in a hill workout. But it would be cool, like, if we had something a little bit closer around here.
I'm 100% with you, Coach. We were talking. We would need another 40-minute interview for that conversation, but I'm willing to. I definitely want to continue that conversation with hopefully more coaches, and we can make that happen. Because we have some, might not have to be state parks, but we have some unbelievable cross country courses in the area as well. If we can open the doors and have schools open the doors in the summer for our athletes of all ages to come and run them and make it a
you
fun
and I
event.
had spoken a little bit over the summer about even doing, maybe a little kind of track series. And, we happen to have this really cool stadium in Goshen that,
Yeah, there's a little coliseum up in Goshen with cool things.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out that timing too.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, Coach,
we'd love to have you there. Yeah.
Coach, thank you so much. I wish everyone, well, your kids will probably see this, but we wish you guys so much luck. We're rooting for you for the hometown, and we'd love to come and take some more pictures of races, maybe come up to a practice and see what you guys got going on, and show the community at large what Goshen cross country and track and field has to offer. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.